Good afternoon, my friends. Wow, I suppose that not just for the visitors, but for all the regulars, I should reintroduce myself. My name is Pastor Lou Kilgore. I am the pastor here at the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, located in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. You've joined in and tuned in to what has been for a while an every afternoon chat with Pastor Lou. However, last week, because of the power outage that lasted from Tuesday all the way through to the end of the week, I didn't see you at all. And the week prior to that, even the Friday before, I didn't see you and talk with you because I was getting ready to go fishing in Maine for a week, which I did, and had a very successful week. It's been so long, and I was so looking forward to last week of having a week of really talking and sharing and seeing what's happening in your lives and thinking about what's happening in our lives, which is kind of what I do when I prepare for this time of chatting. So I have to say, I want to say that I'm very grateful today. I had a great week with my dad in Maine and my son. We fished, we caught many fish. We were all catch and release. The weather was extremely hot, and I failed to notice that the cabin we were renting was not air conditioned. So it was a week not without struggle, but filled with memories and excitement and time together. And then this hurricane, I wasn't paying attention. Where's my 2 o'clock yawn? I was not paying attention. I try to pay attention all the time, especially to things that are going to matter in a bigger sense. I did not see this coming. One of the things that we laugh at ourselves about when we're fishing is that we fish a style where we have a rubber worm, we throw it in and we wait. And a bass thinks it's a worm and strikes at it. And one of the things that you hear in the boat from time to time is someone will get a bite and it will surprise them. And they'll say, well, I wasn't expecting that. And there's one old fisherman that we used to take out with us. He was a guide. And he used to say, you weren't expecting that? I mean, what are you doing out here? You're fishing, a fish bites, and it surprises you? Well, a hurricane surprises me in New Jersey. In the beginning of August, a hurricane surprises me, and the intensity of it surprised me. Sunday, I was preaching and reflecting in the days leading up to Sunday about the text of the storm at sea with the disciples in a boat. And in Matthew's version, Jesus comes walking on the water, and Peter goes out onto the rough waves. They're frightened. And there's a porch on the front of my house, and so when the storm was raging, Laura and I both like to sit out in the storm. We like to go out on the porch and to be near what's happening, to gather that discharge of energy that takes place in a lightning and thunderstorm. And so we were out there and we were watching as the wind came from 6 directions, and it whirled and whipped the trees around, and it was exhilarating. It was something to feel the power of nature, to live alongside of it. And then the wind would grow to a point where it would create this horrendous sound. and the trees would bend further than you think they could. And then they would bend and whip back and then get caught again. And not all the trees made it. We heard a really loud crack in the back of the house. And a maple tree that had unseen but damage going on at its core cracked right in half and dropped to the ground. Big tree. And many of the trees' branches cracked off and went flying through the air. I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect it. And when I was in the middle of it, it was really quite frightening. It was. And I said at the time, I've never been in the middle of a hurricane like the ones that go through the tropics sometimes, where they make one yawn for every day I didn't do this last week, where a hurricane will make landfall in North Carolina out on the point. And the winds blow at 156 miles an hour, sustained. The natural order is full of fury. At least it feels like fury to me. It's just following its course, doing what it does. Oh, it's been a long time since I've chatted with you, but the things that are still on my mind are still this pandemic. I'm working in the churches. Church has a preschool for, it's a low-cost preschool and infant care to provide a service to working moms and dads. And we're extremely vigilant. We are really, really, really determined that no child or teacher or parent is going to contract this virus, not from our setting. So the cleaning and the sanitizing and ultraviolet lights, washing of the hands, wearing masks all the time, even when they are irritating, causing rashes behind our ears. We exist as humans sometimes. We forget that the environment that we're in can be very hostile to who we are, to our survival. When the heat rises above 95 degrees and the warnings go out to say, bring your dogs in and bring your humans in, people that you care about, the environment can be very hostile to our existence. And yet my devotional book today says that life for us, real life for us, exists in this thing that we talk about, in that finding our life in this moment. Finding our life in the moment. Whether the winds of the hurricane are blowing around us and we wonder if a tree will fall on the house, or a virus is circulating among us and you wonder if today is your day to wake up with a fever. Life is what's happening when all of that is going on as well. And that's what I'm using my energy for. I'm using my energy, everything I have, to hold on to my life and hold on to my living. In a pared down activity, very pared down level of activity and interaction with you, with us, no ability to open my office and have a pastoral conversation, not yet. I'm still squeezing the sponge of life for everything I can find in this moment, because I don't get this moment back. So I go out on the porch in the middle of a hurricane, not looking to be reckless, just looking to interact in the moment, to feel the forces that I don't control. And to remind myself that even in the face of those circumstances, God is with me. God is with you. So wherever you are today, if this is a Monday that has brought you some level of discouragement or despair, if you're a parent that's trying to figure out the school issue, or all those other issues that parents have to deal with, the Sophie's Choice kind of questions that go on in parenting all the time, I'm praying for you. I'm praying that the moments that are going by will be moments that unleash for you the depth of joy and celebration of life in all of its challenges. Or if you're one of my very elderly friends who have severely restricted activity, not because of the COVID virus, just because that's where life has brought you. You're my hero when you find in the moments something that sustains your sense of meaning and purpose. And it can come from anything. It can come from a jigsaw puzzle if you can see. It can come from listening to a piece of music if you can hear. It can come from writing if your hands are still able to do it. It can come from a telephone call, a conversation, a joke, a shared moment and a memory. This is all of life that is happening in spite of everything else that is taking place. Now, I want you to know, I say all these things, and I try to test what I'm saying you heard me say in the beginning of this. I don't really like platitudes. I don't really like people who just say the easy thing in order to get past living in the difficult thing. And so one of the realities that I'm trying to follow in my life, all the way halfway around the world, is this devastating explosion that took place in Beirut. It's described as the third largest explosion that has ever happened in the history of the world. Now that may not count the possibility that an asteroid struck the Earth so many millions of years ago. I'm not going back that far, but in our known history, this one was right up there with Nagasaki and Hiroshima, with the atomic release of energy. It was flattening. It flattened the buildings and structures and porches and homes, turned over cars and brought buildings down. Hundreds are dead. And it wasn't really a residential area, it was a port, an industrial area. Hundreds are dead. Many are missing. You listen to the voices of the people who experienced it and then tried to think, how could this happen to us? Their voices crying out about irresponsible leadership that allowed hundreds of tons of this explosive chemical to be stored in the port next to a fireworks factory. There's a level of experiencing the meanness sometimes and the hardness of nature and the terrible things that happen just naturally. But then you experience things that happen because of people's negligence or because of their poor planning or because of their planning to do negligence. I don't know. I don't know. Planning to do harm. And still in those moments, and still in those environments, trying to hold on to this. There's that, but there's also this. There is that. There is this thing. There is this grief. There is this loss. There is this destruction. There is this stuff of the brokenness of life which is right next to us all the time. And then the challenge or the gift of faith is to be able to say this and this. This and I put my hope in Christ. This and I put my hope in God and God's love for me and for the world. I hold on to both. Pray for you, whatever challenge you're facing today. I pray for you to release the joy that you want to experience today. And I'm praying for the people of the world, especially in Beirut, and in the falling or crumbling of governmental controls. Chaos is breaking loose. It's never a good thing. Not for the little people especially. So I'm praying for the little people. It's Monday, and I am praying, I am really, really hoping that you and I can have a chance to talk every day this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well. Because when I was getting ready to chat, Laura, my wife, asked me, so what are you going to chat about today? And I was aware that when the sequence of my chatting to you gets broken, I don't know what's coming next. I feel a little lost in myself. I feel I'm out of touch a little bit with who I am. And that's kind of how it's supposed to work. I hope it's been helpful today. Happy Monday. Happy day of finding the joyful moment in the middle, even perhaps, of something that is very difficult. Hold both things together in my life. Sometimes the greatest joy, the most happy moment happens right next to the one that causes the great grief. And those of us that are fishing in life go, I didn't see that coming. I wasn't expecting that. And the old fisherman says, really? You weren't expecting it? What are you doing? What are you doing here? Are you living? Are you fishing? God bless you, my friends. I look so forward to talking to you tomorrow on Tuesday. Bye.